Developing right now on Morning News Now, pressure and pushback as Israel moves forward with its attack on southern Gaza. This morning, a rare warning from the U.S. to Israel over the deaths of thousands of civilians in its fight against Hamas. Meanwhile, the leaders of 3 elite universities facing the fallout over antisemitism and Islamophobia on their campuses.
I was not focused on, but I should have been, the irrefutable fact that a call for genocide of Jewish people is a call for some of the most terrible violence human beings can perpetrate.
We're going to bring you team coverage from the Middle East to Capitol Hill. Also this morning, more legal problems for President Biden's son. We're going to break down the new tax-related federal charges against Hunter Biden. Plus, it's shaping up to be a stormy weekend for millions of people on both coasts. We're tracking the conditions and what you can expect where you live. And finding the light in a time of darkness. This morning, millions of Jewish people are celebrating Hanukkah amid a rise in anti-Semitism. The history behind the holiday and what you can do to offer support. Good morning. Good to have you with us on this Friday. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is off. We begin this morning with the deteriorating conditions inside Gaza. Israeli Defense Forces have now encircled Han Yunis, the main city in southern Gaza, a place where thousands of Palestinians have fled seeking a safe haven from the war. U.S. officials tell NBC News that Israel is searching for a top Hamas leader in that area. The IDF is now considering using seawater to flood underground tunnels to force Hamas militants out from hiding. But Israel's expanding operations are receiving backlash from some of the country's strongest supporters. Secretary of State Antony Blinken had this to say.
It is imperative, it remains imperative, that Israel put a premium on civilian protection. And there does remain a gap between exactly what I said when I was there, the intent to protect civilians, and the actual results that we're seeing on the ground.
NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now from Israel with the latest. Raf, good morning. So walk us through what the IDF is trying to accomplish here. Any worries that flooding those tunnels with seawater might harm the hostages who are still believed to be inside Gaza?
Yeah, Joe, good morning. A lot of concern for the hostages, especially among their families, and we've been hearing it. In the same way, these families were deeply, deeply concerned that when Israel bombed these Hamas tunnels from the air, they might accidentally kill the hostages. They're deeply worried about this plan to potentially flood Hamas tunnels with seawater because they worry that their loved ones still being held inside. There are around 138 hostages still being held in Gaza. There are no official talks going on right now for a new pause, a new ceasefire that could lead to those hostages being released in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. But, Joe, also a lot of concern from Palestinian civilians about this potential plan to use seawater. The Palestinian Authority is saying it could have a devastating impact on Gaza's drinking water. Most of the drinking water in Gaza comes from aquifers under the surface. If you flood underground with seawater, you risk contaminating what little drinking water there is available to the 2 million Palestinian civilians. And that is on top, Joe, of a collapsed healthcare system and the fact that so many of these people are now homeless after weeks and weeks of Israeli airstrikes. Joe.
Raf, let's talk about the global response here. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres invoked a rarely used power yesterday to bring attention to that humanitarian crisis in Gaza. It's called Article 99. So explain to us, what powers does this give the UN? Will it have any practical impact to help Gaza at all?
Yeah, so Article 99 gives the Secretary General of the United Nations the power to force a meeting of the United Nations Security Council, which is the top body within that global organization. It doesn't force the Security Council to act. And what the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, is saying is the situation in Gaza is so dire right now that he demands that the world's leading powers, including the United States, come to the table and try to figure out a solution here. But, Joe, we have seen through crises throughout recent history, Ukraine, Syria, now Gaza, the Security Council is often paralyzed in the face of these situations. The U.S. used its veto power back in mid-October to prevent the Security Council from passing a resolution which would have called for a ceasefire. It's likely that if the Council tries again to answer the Secretary General's call for an immediate ceasefire so there can be more humanitarian aid, that the United States might once again use its veto. And that is something that has caused a lot of backlash around the world, because there are growing calls on all corners for there to be an end to the fighting so humanitarian aid can be delivered, so civilians in Gaza can have somewhere to go. The U.S. position for now is that it still supports Israel's military campaign, and it is not at this time calling for a halt to the fighting. Jeff.
Still, we know President Biden spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu over the phone yesterday about the humanitarian aid to Gaza. Do we know what came out of that meeting? Is Netanyahu losing any support here?
So we definitely have seen a shift in rhetoric from the White House in the early weeks after the October 7th terror attack. It seemed like there was almost unlimited U.S. support for what Israel was doing inside Gaza. Now we're hearing a lot more emphasis on the need for Israel to minimize civilian casualties, on the need for Israel to allow humanitarian aid to get in. One of the big focuses of the Biden administration over the last couple of days has been telling Israel, you have to let more fuel in, because ultimately without fuel, they can't distribute this aid, these basics, water, medicine, food. And there is a dire, dire shortage of fuel right now, both for trucks, but also for power stations. So the Israeli cabinet has agreed to allow more fuel in, and the U.S. is saying that is only because of American pressure. But they are saying that is just the start. There has to be a lot more humanitarian aid across the board. Jeff.
All right. Raf Sanchez in Israel. Raf, thank you so much. On Capitol Hill, a House committee announced it has launched an investigation into 3 of the country's top universities. The House Education and Workforce Committee will be looking into Harvard, MIT, and the University of Pennsylvania. This comes after a congressional hearing just days ago when the 3 school presidents appeared to sidestep questions about whether students calling for the genocide of Jews is a violation of their conduct codes. NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now with more on this. Julie, good morning. This is a hearing that's been getting a lot of attention. Now we're seeing the aftermath of it. House Republican Conference Chair Elise Stefanik says the committee is going to use its, quote, full congressional authority to hold those schools accountable for their failure on the global stage. What exactly is the House looking to find in this investigation?
Well, according to the chair of the committee, Virginia Fox, she said the committee, as you mentioned, will use their full subpoena power, but also they will request substantial documents from these 3 universities that were part of this hearing, and also others, as we've seen this rise of anti-Semitism across various college campuses in the U.S., not just these 3 schools. And of course, it came, as you pointed out, after that contentious hearing. One of the most notable exchanges happened between Elise Stefanik, who you see on your screen. She had an exchange with Harvard's President Claudine Gay, asking her repeatedly over and over again if calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard's code of conduct. Gay repeatedly said that while in her personal opinion it does, that it didn't rise to the level of action and violence. And so now we are seeing this investigation launched by the Republican-controlled House, and they are expected to make a big deal of this, make a big point of this, of course, as they've done in various legislation and messaging bills over the last few weeks.
It's not just Republicans. The Biden administration also condemned the school presidents for their responses during the hearing. How are the schools responding to this backlash?
And not just President Biden, various Democrats on the Hill as well, from Senator Richard Blumenthal to others in the House. They are pretty outraged by what they heard on Tuesday, with these presidents just unable to condemn what is so plainly wrong. We did hear some cleanup, though, from the presidents of these universities, in large part because donors were also outraged. There were calls for these presidents to resign by their top boards. And in the hours after this hearing, we heard, for example, a video message from Elizabeth McGill, who's the president of UPenn. She said that she was wrong. She said she should have focused on the genocide in the questioning. She said that it is, quote, evil, plain and simple. We also heard from Harvard, who issued a tweet saying, let me be clear, calls for violence or genocide against the Jewish community or any religious ethnic group are vile and have no place at Harvard. So you clearly see these presidents taking a different tone after that hearing and after all the backlash we saw come of it. But still, this investigation from the House committee will go on.
Julie, while I have you, I want to ask you about the special election in New York to fill George Santos's seat. It's taking place in February. Now, New York Democrats have named Tom Suozzi as their candidate for the seat. For those who aren't as deeply knowledgeable on politics as you, what should we know about him?
Yeah, Tom Suozzi, three-term congressman. He actually left in 2022 to launch an unsuccessful bid, primary challenge against Governor Kathy Hochul. Now Democrats have picked him to be the front runner in the race to replace George Santos. That special election is going to happen mid-February, February 13th. And this seat, this district that Santos held and represented, this is a pretty safe Democratic seat. Santos was able to flip it. So Democrats do like their chances in this one, especially in Suozzi. He already got some key endorsements, not only from his colleagues in the House, but key party chairs across the state of New York. And certainly this is an important endorsement for him. Republicans still have yet to pick their candidate in the race. That is expected, according to my sources, to be announced in the coming days. And certainly this will be a race to watch, really, as we get close to this special election in the next 2 months to fill this seat. And as House Republicans hope to expand their majority, but certainly that is threatened with Santos's expulsion.
And the margin's certainly getting tighter in the House right now. All right, Julie, thank you so much. A man in Albany, New York, was arrested after firing a shotgun outside of a synagogue yesterday. It happened just hours before the beginning of the Jewish holiday Hanukkah. The man has been identified as 28-year-old Mufid El-Kader. Officials say he allegedly yelled "Free Palestine" at the time of the incident. No one was injured, but dozens of school children were inside the temple when the shots were fired. He's scheduled to make his first court appearance later today and faces a charge of possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. We're learning new details about the gunman who opened fire Wednesday on the UNLV campus, killing 3 people. Authorities say Anthony Polito was a former North Carolina professor who applied for a position at UNLV but was turned down. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson has the latest from Las Vegas.
New details after shots rang out on another American college campus.
We're good. Come on, everybody, keep your hands up, you guys. Keep your hands up, please.
This time inside UNLV's business school.
Gunshot was so close. I feel like he's coming in, and the only thing you can do is praying that he doesn't pick this room.
Police say 67-year-old Anthony Polito opened fire on the building's 4th floor just before noon Wednesday, shooting and killing 3. 64-year-old Professor Jerry Chang, 39-year-old Assistant Professor Patricia Navarro-Velez. The third victim, also faculty, hasn't been named until their family can be notified. One gunshot survivor is still in the hospital.
The suspect had a list of people he was seeking on a university campus, as well as faculty from the Eastern Carolina University.
He previously worked at other universities across the Southeast, touted a membership in Mensa, the high IQ society, and was prone to posting conspiracy theories on his personal website. But investigators are stopping short of assigning motive.
We know he applied numerous times for a job with several Nevada higher education institutions and was denied each time.
Police shared video of the moment Polito was killed as he engaged police outside.
Evacuate to a safe area, run, hide, fight.
Business law student Caleb Melise was in class just 2 floors down when he heard the shots rang out.
What did it sound like? It sounded like balloons popping. We were kind of oblivious of it. We didn't really realize what was going on at first.
Melise says, incredibly, this isn't his first mass shooting. He was at the deadliest mass shooting in American history, the Las Vegas Music Festival in 2017 that left 58 people dead.
How many times are we going to go through this? Yeah, some people crying, but it was like, we were like desensitized to it.
A legacy of violence, leaving Las Vegas numb.
Our thanks to Steve Patterson for that report. Authorities say the suspect also sent out at least 22 letters to targets. One that was intercepted contained an unknown white substance, which turned out to be harmless. There's new trouble for Hunter Biden this morning. The embattled son of the president is now indicted on 9 tax-related charges, including 3 felony counts. That's according to documents filed Thursday in a federal court in Los Angeles. For more, let's bring in NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian. Ken, walk us through these new charges and remind us how we got here.
Good morning, Joe. The special counsel is accusing Hunter Biden of evading $1.4 million in taxes from 2014 to 2019. This 56-page scathing indictment says that Hunter Biden earned millions of dollars during that period and was paid through his foreign business entanglements, but was also paid $1.2 million from a third party and spent that money on lavish entertainment, escorts, clubs, and luxury cars, and that he had the money to pay his taxes each year, but he chose not to. It's a powerful indictment that is much broader than the previous plea deal that fell apart back in August, which is how we got here. Remember, Hunter Biden had reached a deal with the prosecution that would have called for no jail time. He was going to admit to misdemeanor tax charges and a gun charge. Now he's charged with felony tax evasion, much more serious charges, Joe.
So as far as reaction goes, are we hearing anything from the White House and anything from Hunter Biden's legal team?
The White House is saying that they did not have advance notice of these charges being filed by the special counsel. Hunter Biden's lawyer, Abby Lowell, is saying that, first of all, he repaid the taxes that he owed, and that, secondly, that if his name was anything but Biden, this case never would have been brought because there's a lot of discretion about tax cases, and when someone repays the taxes, it's very often the case that the prosecutors decline to file charges. But in this case, they have done so, and they are very serious charges.
So Hunter Biden is facing a lot of legal issues. After that plea deal fell apart in September, he was indicted on federal gun charges. Does this newest indictment, the tax charges, impact the gun case at all?
Not directly, but it just complicates Hunter Biden's legal situation, and it ensures that he may be facing 2 criminal trials next year while his father is campaigning for president. So it becomes a political headache for Joe Biden.
Now that the indictments come down, what does come next in the case for Hunter Biden?
Well, he's going to make an initial appearance in Los Angeles that has not been scheduled. And, you know, there's still a chance that they could resume plea negotiations and reach some kind of arrangement on these charges, which are not really contested. He didn't pay the taxes. He did apply for a gun license and lie on a form. He's already admitted that. So there may be some kind of arrangement that can be made. If not, Hunter Biden is facing serious prison time, years and years in prison if convicted on all these charges, Joe.
All right, Ken Delanian, thank you so much. Testimony is expected to continue today in the ongoing civil fraud trial against former President Trump. Trump and members of his family are accused of inflating the values of their assets in order to get better loan terms. In the lawsuit, New York's Attorney General is seeking $250 million in damages. On Thursday, the former president did appear in court and again denied any wrongdoing, calling the case a witch hunt. Let's bring in NBC News Now legal analyst Angela Senadella to break it all down for us. Angela, good morning. So we had an accounting expert testify in Trump's defense yesterday, saying this case doesn't have any merit and that there wasn't anything wrong with Trump's financial statements. How useful is testimony like this for Trump and his family and their legal team? What are your takeaways from yesterday?
So, Joe, overall, legally, I think it's extremely significant because a finding of fraud in any industry is industry specific. And here we have an esteemed professor of accounting at NYU saying that while there were mistakes made, there were obvious accounting mistakes made, that was the responsibility of the external accounting firm and in no way indicated actual accounting fraud. So, yes, mistake, responsibility of outside firm, but no fraud. But the problem here is that the judge already made a finding of fraud specifically with regards to this, with regards to the financial statements having been allegedly inflated. And so to some degree in this actual case, it's irrelevant, but it will be relevant for possible penalties and also for a future appeal.
Trump did have, speaking of appeals, a victory yesterday. An appellate court paused a pretrial order. It called for dissolving some of Trump's businesses. What should we know about that decision and what might happen next with that?
Yeah, so that is very helpful for Trump. So this was already stayed, meaning that no finding like this was going to happen during the trial. But now that has been delayed. So not until after an appeals court rules on this case will any of his business certificates be affected. So for Trump, that's an obvious win given the timing of what's happening in his political career. So that means likely not until a year from now will we have any impact on his certificates.
So we mentioned Trump was in court yesterday. He did not testify yesterday. Testifying, that's expected to happen on Monday. He's supposed to be the defense's last witness. You might remember he took the stand a month ago. He was often combative during that testimony. So what do you think we can expect this time around as this trial nears an end?
Well, Joe, I would say that nothing is really predictable with regards to what Trump will say. But last time he was extremely combative because he was put on the stand as a witness for the plaintiffs. This time it is friendly territory. He is a witness for the defense. And so his own counsel will be leading him and asking him questions. So I expect he'll repeat what he's said all along, that there was no fraud, that he is the real victim here, and likely that this judge is biased.
All right, Angela Senadella, thank you so much for your analysis. As always, we appreciate it. You might want to grab your umbrellas. It's going to be a stormy and wet weekend from coast to coast. Let's get a look at your morning news now. Weather with Angie Lastman. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. That's good advice. Grab the umbrellas, but you might look at the satellite and radar across the country right now and wonder why. Well, we've got a system that's kind of hanging out over the Rockies. It's a little weak, but it's eventually going to gain some steam and strengthen and get its act together as we get through the day today and once it gets east of the Rockies. So today, a little bit of snow across the Rockies, but then by later this afternoon into the evening hours, you can see some of these thunderstorms start to develop across parts of the plains. Now, today isn't the big kind of day when it comes to weather. Tomorrow, and especially Sunday, is when it's going to be really impactful. Tomorrow, we're looking at basically Texas up into Tennessee, where we could see some of these thunderstorms developing along this cold front from that system, the same system that just yesterday was coming on shore and impacting folks in the Pacific Northwest. Once it gets into this region, we do have that potential for, like I mentioned, some strong to even severe storms, and we'll be watching that for the afternoon hours of Saturday into the evening hours. So a lot of folks, of course, out and about during that time frame. If you live anywhere from really Nashville down to Houston, or even including places like Lexington, Chattanooga, and Montgomery, New Orleans, you're going to want to have a way to get some of these alerts, because we could see some of these thunderstorms sparking up the potential for some strong wind gusts, damaging wind gusts, down trees and such, as well as the large hail's all a possibility. And we can't rule out a couple of tornadoes as well. This is Saturday night. Now, by the time we get into Sunday, all of this moisture kind of takes shape across parts of the East Coast, and from Maine down to Florida, we'll have the potential for some rain. The potential will be there for some heavy rain, so flooding, of course, we can't rule out. This will all get to the East Coast by the time we get to the midday on Sunday. It's going to be good rain, but also some strong winds. We could see upwards of 30, 40, even 50-mile-per-hour winds closer to the coast. And you notice we do have the potential for some ice and some snow. And it's not out of the picture by the time we get to Monday, especially if you live in the Northeast and New England area. That's where we'll still be dealing with some snow falling and some heavy rain working through. Now, specifics on those impacts, some flooding, of course, with anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches, upwards of maybe 3 inches of rain possible. So watch for the flooding. Don't drive through those flooded roadways. Of course, we always remind you of that. But notice these impressive wind gusts. These are peak wind gusts that we're expecting in Nantucket. Over 60 miles per hour. New York, 43-mile-per-hour gust possible. Atlantic City, 50-mile-per-hour gust. This is, of course, going to be problematic for airport delays and flight travel, all of that kind of stuff. But, of course, on the roadways, when you add in snow and rain, that'll be problematic, too. Sunday does not look like a good day for traveling across this region. Here's the heaviest snow that you can expect, upwards of maybe 6 inches, close to 8 in some spots in upstate New York. We know that, as I mentioned, it's also going to be gusty. So with that snow falling and the winds blowing like that, we'll have blowing snow, which means reduced visibility, even more difficult on the roadway. So really just a couple of days, I think, Joe, to, I don't know, find some shows on Netflix to watch, binge those, stay inside.
No kidding.
If you have plans on the East Coast, Saturday will be okay, but Sunday is definitely
Sunday's a good day to watch football. Maybe not a good day to play football, but a good day to watch football.
Unless you're indoors, yes.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, Angie. Appreciate it. Since we have weather on our minds, let's check in with the COP28 Climate Summit, which is starting to wrap up in Dubai. There is still plenty on the agenda, including some of the more contentious topics like the future of fossil fuels. CNBC senior climate correspondent Diana Olick is there. Diana, good morning. So what's on the agenda today? And you've been there all week. What are some of the highlights of COP28 so far?
Well, Joe, it's really all about fossil fuels. We're now, as you said, in the second week of the COP, and negotiations are really intensifying over the future of their use. The deadline is Tuesday, and we've already seen some preliminary language, which contains everything from phasing out fossil fuels to phasing down to no language in the agreement at all. It's important to note UN rules specify that all parties must agree unanimously on the final COP document, and we know major oil producers like Saudi Arabia are not on board with a phase out or a phase down. President Biden special envoy for climate change, John Kerry, said here Wednesday in his most direct language yet that the U.S. supports a phase out of fossil fuels. He said we've got to do what the science tells us to do. Of course, U.S. oil production continues to rise and is expected to hit a record high next year. Joe?
So it's not just fossil fuels. Another big part of the agenda is sustainable farming. Talk more about that. Why is it a major focus, and how is that tied to climate change?
Yeah, well, we're seeing a lot at this COP about agriculture because it accounts for 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And today, an announcement from the U.S. Department of Agriculture about an investment fund launched with the UAE that it has now grown to $17 billion. So we caught up with Agricultural Secretary Vilsack here this morning.
We're encouraging more what are called sprint innovations in an effort to try to get more technology and innovations into the system so that we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions, sequester more carbon, be more climate smart. 78 sprints, basically resources being invested in everything from reducing methane in livestock to creating new apps for farmers worldwide so they have a better understanding of how their soil is operating under a difficult climate.
And this also includes working with major food producers on this, as well as leaders in sustainable aviation fuel, because it's actually largely made out of biomass. It's so interesting, the synergies that we're seeing here between governments and large corporations. In fact, I spoke with the chief sustainability officer at United Airlines here this morning, and she said COP is like the new Davos Economic Forum. So a lot of money moving, no question, Joe.
No kidding. That says a lot about who's there and what they're trying to get done. All right, Diana Olek, thank you so much. Appreciate your reporting this week. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, off the tracks, the growing criticism over America's rail system as prices to board go up and dependability goes down. Up first after the break, new developments in the fight over abortion rights in America. We're going to take you to Texas for a controversial ruling that could have nationwide implications. Stay with us. Welcome back. A judge in Texas has granted permission for a pregnant mother whose fetus has a fatal diagnosis to have an emergency abortion. This is one of the first challenges to Texas's restrictive abortion rules, which were put in place after the overturning of Roe versus Wade. NBC's senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has more.
Kate Cox was running out of time after learning at 20 weeks that the baby she's expecting has a fetal abnormality. The 31-year-old mom of two filed a lawsuit in Texas seeking an emergency abortion. A judge agreed.
I never thought I would ever need or want an abortion.
If Cox carried the pregnancy to term, doctors warned she would be at risk for serious complications that could affect her ability to have more children.
There's no outcome here that I take home my healthy baby girl.
Texas bans most abortions as soon as the baby has a heartbeat. There are medical exceptions, but critics say the language is vague, leaving doctors fearful of getting sued for performing one without a court order. The judge siding with Cox, saying the idea that Ms. Cox wants desperately to be a parent and this law might actually cause her to lose that ability is shocking and would be a genuine miscarriage of justice. The Texas Attorney General pushing back strongly, arguing Cox has failed to show she qualifies for a medical exception. The AG is sending a letter to Cox's hospital warning prosecutions are still possible if they allow her doctor to perform an unlawful abortion, despite the ruling.
The rule of law doesn't mean anything to the Attorney General of Texas.
The decision applies only to Cox, but separate challenges to the laws in Texas filed by other women are still ongoing. Meanwhile, Cox still dreams of expanding her family one day.
I want the opportunity to get the health care I need and heal, and then, try again.
Laura Jarrett, NBC News.
International news now, starting in Ukraine, where the CDC is reporting a rapid rise in dangerous drug-resistant germs at hospitals. NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter has that and other international headlines. Molly, good morning.
Joe, good morning to you. That's right. We will start in Ukraine, a very different kind of danger that we are reporting on this morning. So the CDC is out with a new report warning of a, quote, alarming increase in germs with resistance to a group so-called last line of defense antibiotics. Now, officials are calling it an urgent crisis. The worry, of course, is that these drug-resistant germs can spread across borders. The CDC concluded that Ukrainian doctors will now need more supplies, especially for labs and testing, and more specific training. Now, moving down under, Australia and Papua New Guinea have signed a historic security agreement, Joe, signed in Australia's capital of Canberra. The agreement will provide Papua New Guinea with more assistance for its police and support for its legal system. This follows another important deal Papua New Guinea just signed with the U.S. to upgrade its military bases. And finally, in China, an eye-wateringly expensive lunch by accident. A woman posted her QR code linking to her table order. Well, her post traveled quickly, and people ordered 1,850 portions of fresh duck blood, 2,580 portions of squid, and 9,990 portions of shrimp paste, bringing her total bill to a whopping $60,300, Joe. Good news, though, the restaurant moved her to a different table and is not making her pay the bill.
That's very nice and kind of sad that people took advantage of it like that. All right. Molly, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Coming up, faith and fallout. When we come back, how Jewish communities all over the world are fighting back against a surge in anti-Semitism as Hanukkah begins. You've heard of elf on a shelf. What about mensch on a bench? We're going to celebrate Hanukkah with the creator of a new holiday tradition. We're going to talk about the holiday and how we can all show our support for the Jewish community. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. Against a backdrop of growing anti-Semitism, European leaders are warning of a huge risk of terrorist attacks. And just this week, federal officials in America alerted faith-based communities of increasing threats. Despite the risks, Jewish communities around the world are vowing to find the light as the first night of Hanukkah kicked off. Here's NBC News correspondent Josh Letterman.
For centuries, the Hanukkah candles have been burning reminders about the triumph of religious freedom over fear, of light over darkness. As Jews around the world light the first candle, they stand in the shadow of a new set of fears, surging anti-Semitism and an alarming threat of terrorism.
All the lights were blinking red before 9/11. Apparently, obviously, all of us missed it. Would you say that there's multiple blinking red lights out there?
I see blinking lights everywhere I turn.
FBI Director Chris Wray testifying the terror threat is higher than at any point since the war against ISIS a decade ago.
And by far and away, the biggest chunk of the tips and leads, which are coming in fast and constantly to us post-October 7th, the biggest chunk by far involve threats to the Jewish community.
Earlier this week, the Homeland Security Department issuing a guide to places of worship to protect themselves, with tips like trimming bushes where attackers could hide, and similar fears across Europe.
There is a huge risk of terrorist attacks in the European Union,
prompting the EU to devote more than $32 million to protecting places of worship. The French government urging extreme vigilance after a fatal terrorist attack over the weekend by a man who told police he was angry about the war. And London's Metropolitan Police telling NBC News they've made 75 arrests linked to the Israel-Hamas war, stemming from threats to both Jews and Muslims. While Jewish communities in the U.S. and Europe are deploying armed guards outside synagogues and Hanukkah celebrations. These symbols of Hanukkah are supposed to be a beacon of faith and perseverance, but they can quickly become targets for people who might act out of hatred or prejudice. But across the world tonight, Jewish communities vowing they will not cower in the dark. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz lighting the first candle at the Brandenburg Gate in the heart of Berlin, vowing to protect Jewish citizens. In Kiev's Maidan Square, the site of the 2014 Revolution of Dignity, families eating sufganiyot, traditional Hanukkah pastries, decorated with the Ukrainian flag. While in Washington, thousands watching as Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff lit the national menorah steps from the White House.
Since October 7th, that horrible day, I have been speaking out publicly as much as I can on what I am calling and what we know to be a crisis of anti-Semitism.
And in London's Trafalgar Square, the head of the UK's Jewish Leadership Council says communities have no choice but to be vigilant, but not silent.
Hanukkah is a symbol of pride, of light, one of the most joyous
festivals in the Jewish calendar, and we are asking people to be loud, proud, and Jewish, because we think that is the best antidote to the hate that we're seeing.
Thanks, Josh Letterman, for that. Let's continue that spirit of finding the light this Hanukkah. The winter holiday brings Jewish families across the world together with prayer, the lighting of the menorah, traditional foods, and more. Neil Hoffman joins us now to tell us more about the traditions behind the holiday. You've probably heard of Elf on the Shelf. Well, he's the creator of Mensch on a Bench. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. But Neil, first of all, just what is it people should know about the history of Hanukkah and the traditions?
So the history of Hanukkah is really about the Maccabees, who were fighting for Jewish freedom when the Jews were persecuted, and they defeated the Greeks. So it's really about staying Jewish at a time where things are difficult. The Jews went back to the temple. They lit the oil. There was only enough oil left for one night. It lasted for 8 nights. And that is the miracle of Hanukkah. It's why it's called the Festival of Lights, and that's God's way of saying to the Jews that he is supporting our push for freedom.
Of course, this year the celebration comes at a time of great pain for the Jewish community. We're seeing this rise in anti-Semitism as the Israel-Hamas war rages on. Following the Hamas attack in October, we've got families still anxiously waiting for hostages to return home. How has that changed Hanukkah this year? Does it feel different from past years?
Does feel different. There's a weight that is coming with kind of the political side of things, but there's also a little bit of fear of, with the anti-Semitism, do I want to put a menorah in my window? Do I want to display my mensch on a bench? And Jews are faced with this choice. And even coming on and doing this interview, it's like, do I want to be the face of Judaism to the public? And sometimes you just got to say, I'm willing to do it. We got to stand up for ourselves. And we're just trying to bring some joy into Jewish households.
We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. What are some of the best ways that we can all support the Jewish community right now?
You know, the wonderful thing about Hanukkah is it lasts 8 nights. So if you're talking to your Jewish friends, ask if you can participate in one of those nights. We'd love to have you with us. Just calling and wishing your Jewish friends happy Hanukkah, or I'm thinking of you. It really makes a difference to know that you're not alone and that your community is supporting you during this difficult time.
It's important to remember at all times, but maybe especially right now during this holiday season. All right, we all know about Elf on the Shelf. Some people may not know about the Mensch on a Bench. You say you created it to add more Funica to Hanukkah. The idea took off with your appearance on Shark Tank like 9 years ago. Since then, you've expanded the brand to include other characters. Tell us all about this. What do we need to know?
So the Mensch on a Bench was inspired by the Elf on a Shelf because my son asked for an elf on a shelf, and I made a joke and said, no, man, you can have a Mensch on a bench. I went back and I wrote the story, and the story is all about Hanukkah. The Mensch is kind of our Forrest Gump, right? He sits and watches the Maccabees fight for freedom. He sits there and watches over the oil as it continues to burn night after night. And he loves Jewish traditions. He loves making latkes, playing dreidels, singing songs. And because Hanukkah lasts 8 nights and you're doing it each night, it gets repetitive. So the idea is like, let's bring the Mensch in and have some fun and do some different things on any given night.
What's the reaction been?
We've sold over 500,000 Mensches since we started. We now have a whole Mensch family, which includes Jewish grandmother, the mitzvah moose, the dreidel dog. It's really been embraced by the Jewish community. And this picture here is Judah Maccabee, who is our newest launch. He's a super duper Juper hero. Because he was fighting for freedom so many thousands of years ago, he's kind of like the original superhero. And we want to have some fun with that. So we gave him a cape and really wanted to give Jewish kids something to be proud of. And I feel like we've accomplished that.
I love it. Neil Hoffman, the creator of the Mensch on a Bench and so much more. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are thinking of your family and friends during this holiday season.
Thank you, and happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. Coming up, Derailed, a nationwide push to get people out of their cars and into public transit, maybe not going quite as well as planned. We're going to look at some of the problems facing America's rail system. You're watching Morning News Now. We are back now with some financial headlines. Apple has big plans for a major manufacturing ramp up in India. CNBC's Silvana now has that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you. That's right. So Apple is planning a major ramp up in the manufacturing of iPhones in India as it shifts more of its supply chain away from China. The Wall Street Journal reports the company aims to make about 50 million iPhones a year in India, or a quarter of Apple's total global production. Foxconn, which is Apple's biggest iPhone manufacturer, is building a factory in southern India that's expected to start operating in April. Spotify is losing one of its top executives. CFO Paul Vogel is leaving the streaming service at the end of March, and he's been at the company since 2016. The announcement comes just days after Spotify said it would cut about 17% of its workforce as it tries to cut costs and become profitable. And Amazon is testing a grocery subscription service in 3 cities, Denver, Sacramento, and Columbus, Ohio. For an additional $9.99 a month, Prime members can get unlimited free delivery on orders over $35 from Whole Foods and Amazon Fresh. You can also get unlimited 30-minute pickup on orders of any size. Prime members currently pay a fee of $6.95 for Amazon Fresh orders between $50 and $100, and $9.95 for anything under $50. And they get charged $9.95 for deliveries from Whole Foods. So $9.95, another $9.95.
Yeah, it adds up right now.
It does.
That's
It
a good
really
idea.
does.
And I'm glad there's a $35 minimum, or else we might be like ordering like a banana or something.
Yeah, I was going to exactly like, oh, God, I need to drink some OJ. Let me get a small bottle of OJ.
Exactly. All right, we'll see. All right, Silvana, thanks so much. Something called congestion pricing is set to go into effect here in New York next spring. That means it's going to cost drivers $15 to drive into the busiest parts of Manhattan. It's all part of a nationwide push in recent years away from cars. But the controversy is also highlighting the nation's many troubles with trains. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock takes a closer look.
The United States, known for its open roads, but also its crazy traffic. From coast to coast, bumper to bumper gridlock, the bane of commuters' existence.
Getting into the city, it's a nightmare.
Now, New York City is trying to do something about it. You may have heard of it, congestion pricing.
Who's going to pay for it? The customers.
New details calling for a $15 a day charge for cars entering the central business district of downtown Manhattan. The goal? To reduce vehicles in the street, lower traffic and pollution, and direct more folks and funds to New York's famed subway and commuter rail systems, still struggling to rebound from the pandemic. The proposal's hailed by city planners as a major step forward, but as some people in and around the city fuming.
From my point of view, it's the most stupid idea of doing that.
The debate pitting those frustrated with traffic.
I mean, I love it. I think we should get rid of cars.
There's way too many cars sometimes.
Against those who've soured on public transit.
Slow, dirty, dangerous.
Bringing a baby on Metro North and on the subway is just not that convenient.
So definitely security needs to step up.
I'm going to drive.
Begging the question, why aren't trains in the U.S. better? Well, the United States has more than 280 million cars. Americans drive more than 3 trillion, yes, trillion miles per year. And most Americans really don't have any other choice. The American Public Transportation Association says 45% have zero access to public transit, meaning it's the highway or no way. But that wasn't always the case. The U.S. was once home to 250,000 miles of busy railroad track crisscrossing the country.
The golden age of America's rail system, where we were the best rail system.
But then enter the automobile and America's interstate highway system. Train travel quickly moving into the rearview mirror.
Is the biggest peacetime enterprise ever undertaken.
And I want to be clear, we were the best rail system at one point, and we're dismantled.
The government stepped in to try to keep things on track, creating Amtrak in the 1970s. But despite President Biden's consistent ridership over the decades,
I commuted every day.
Government data showing more than a quarter of trains arrived at their destinations late last year.
Amtrak has limped along from generation to generation, from year to year, from administration to administration.
And in a world where everything is getting faster, with high-speed bullet trains in Japan routinely whizzing at more than 200 miles an hour, Amtrak's trains, on the other hand, move on average at about 75 miles an hour. Plus, for most long-distance trips, Americans simply find air travel a cheaper, quicker option. Major investments to improve the status quo have been hard to come by. Back in New York, Amtrak's heavily used Northeast Regional Line uses the same tunnels as New Jersey's commuter rails to get into the Big Apple. But a $9 billion project to add capacity under the Hudson River was squashed more than a decade ago, leaving commuters either cramped in slow trains or stuck in the bottleneck of traffic. But experts say the tide might be turning.
In the last 4 or 5 years and decade, we have seen a resurgence of the demand for passenger rail in America.
The Biden administration announcing last month $16 billion to improve Amtrak service.
25 different projects, all to build the Northeast Corridor from Boston to Washington. It's part of my agenda to invest in America.
California officials also haven't given up on a high-speed LA to San Francisco route after years of delays, hoping to have one section operational by 2030. And private companies, once leaders in moving people by rail, are back at it again. Brightline says it expects millions to travel on their Miami to Orlando train, with plans to break ground on an LA to Las Vegas route in the coming years.
I'm really, really excited about where we're going to be. We're hoping to see a lot more movement on passenger rail in the next 5 to 10 to 20 years.
Our thanks to Sam Brock for that report. Earlier this week, the Biden administration announced it's going to give more than $6 billion to high-speed rail projects in the West, one from L.A. to San Francisco and one from L.A. to Las Vegas. Those would be great options. Coming up, hear the sounds of the season in a different key, literally. When we come back, how a group of musicians is using old-school typewriters to create a new kind of holiday jingle. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now. We are back with some holiday cheer from Mariah Carey, yes, the queen of Christmas herself, to another artist known for a classic Christmas hit. Singer Brenda Lee posted this picture of a beautiful bouquet on Instagram sent to her by Mariah Carey. Carey sent the flowers to congratulate Lee for topping Billboard's Hot 100 list with her single Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, the first time that's happened since the song's release back in 1958. 65 years ago. Of course, Mariah Carey knows what it's like to have a holiday hit. Carey's 1994 song, All I Want for Christmas Is You, has led Billboard's Holiday 100 almost every week since that chart began back in 2011. I love seeing Brenda Lee have a moment this holiday season. All right, before there were iPhones, virtual reality, or AI, we had typewriters. Well, now they're coming back in style with help from an orchestra that is drawing inspiration from the past. Here's NBC's Ann Thompson.
It is a cacophony of clicks and clacks, the music of the Boston Typewriter Orchestra.
This is Stomp meets The Office.
Brendan Quigley and Chris Keene lead the Underwoods, Royals, and Smith Coronas, rehearsing at Chris's dining room table. Whose idea was this?
Have you ever heard like a song on the radio and go, you know, this song's pretty good, but I think it would sound better not on one typewriter, but 8?
No, I've never thought that.
Well, well, we have.
That's our origin.
We heard, Last Christmas by Wham and thought, this would sound a lot better on typewriters, and so we just did it.
If music is noise that makes sense, this is it. What does your sheet music look like?
It's a mess.
The goal, not words per minute, but beats and hooks.
This is a song without any melody or lyrics, and yet somehow it's still catchy.
The Kelly Clarkson Show thought so. What's the next holy grail for you?
I don't know, the MGM Sphere in Vegas?
Sure, yeah, does U2 need an opening act?
Yeah.
But first, Ralph Steiner in Worcester.
Go.
By day, Chris is a software engineer. Brendan constructs crossword puzzles.
I feel like we're kind of a rock band at heart.
We've sort of planted the flag and, everyone has to catch up.
One carriage return at a time. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Boston.
That is some talent right there. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stay with us. The news continues right now. Good Good morning. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah has the day off. Right now on Morning News Now, a growing humanitarian crisis in the Middle East as Israel's military presses farther into southern Gaza, searching for Hamas leaders. The operation now coming under international scrutiny, with innocent Gazans fearing wider fallout from the violence. We'll bring you the latest from the ground. As back home, a troubling rise in anti-Semitism takes center stage on Capitol Hill. There's more legal trouble unfolding for Hunter Biden this morning. He's now been hit with a handful of federal charges in California, alleging he failed to pay his taxes for years. How Biden's legal team is responding. We're also going to dive into some breaking economic data that's out this morning, the November jobs report and what it means for America's economy, and of course, your wallet. Our economic dream team is all over it. And later in the hour, we'll bring you our can't miss list. 80s classic Die Hard actually rolls into theaters this weekend, and it's reigniting that age-old debate that's divided families, co-workers, and friends for years. Is it actually a Christmas movie? We'll dive into that. Let's begin this hour with the expanded military operations in Gaza. Israeli forces are taking aim at southern Gaza's largest city. That's where officials believe they have the location of a top Hamas leader. But global leaders are pushing back against Israel's move, saying too many civilian lives are at risk. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the details.
As Israel continues its offensive against Hamas in Gaza, the United States is pressuring Israel to speed up the delivery of humanitarian aid. The UN is now warning of a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza as Israel expands its offensive against Hamas to southern Gaza, where hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are seeking refuge. U.S. officials are pressing Israel to explain what it plans next. On Thursday, Secretary Blinken laid down what sounded like red lines.
We cannot have an Israeli reoccupation of Gaza. We cannot have forced displacement of Palestinians from Gaza. We cannot have the territory of Gaza diminished in any way.
Sealed off from the world, Gazans are helping each other. In Rafah, teachers paint Razan Arafat's face with a dove for peace. She lost her left leg, relatives say, in an Israeli strike that killed her parents and siblings. Her aunt is taking care of her. The aunt tells us Razan screams nonstop when talking about her family. Israel says it has two goals: to drive Hamas from power and return the remaining 137 hostages. In Israel, Irina Tati returned to kibbutz Nir Oz. The 73-year-old was held by Hamas in Gaza and freed last week. She was overwhelmed by the damage. Irina came back to her home to collect a prayer book for Hanukkah.
What's it like for you to come back here after all that you've been through?
Here I feel better, but not very well. I want the war to stop, she says. She did not want to talk about what happened to her while she was held captive. Irina's neighbor, Rita Lifshitz, says many here are furious at Hamas and the government for being too slow to react to Hamas's attack.
How did it take 8 hours to have a response?
Why it took 8 hours? Because they didn't care. They left us here.
As across Israel overnight, candles were lit for Hanukkah and prayers for the hostages' safe return. And regarding efforts to return to a ceasefire that could see Hamas free more hostages and a pause in the violence once again, intermediaries tell NBC News so far they're not seeing anything serious.
All right, Richard Engel, thank you. And as Richard just mentioned, last night was the first night of Hanukkah. But for many Jewish communities, the growing threat of anti-Semitic attacks is casting a shadow on the holiday. Authorities are following a major spike in incidents of anti-Semitism nationwide since the war broke out in Israel. And this week, U.S. college campuses are in the spotlight. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Goss joins us now with details on that. Stephanie, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. You know, there's new fallout related to this week's anti-Semitism hearing on Capitol Hill. Testimony from the leaders of 3 top universities drawing major backlash from students, donors, and even the White House. And now there are growing calls for them to resign. Meanwhile, authorities here in New York are investigating a possible hate crime, shots fired outside a Jewish temple on the first day of Hanukkah.
Just hours before the start of Hanukkah, at least 2 shots fired outside a temple in Albany, New York yesterday. While 24 preschoolers were at the synagogue, none were injured. Police arresting 28-year-old Mufid Fawaz Al-Qadr and charging him federally with illegal possession of a firearm. The case also being investigated as a potential hate crime.
We were told by responding officers that he made a comment, free Palestine.
Jewish students on college campuses also concerned for their safety. At the University of Pennsylvania, President Liz Magill is under fire following her comments at this week's anti-Semitism hearing on Capitol Hill, where she and the presidents of Harvard and MIT testified for hours, each condemning anti-Semitism while attempting to embrace the importance of free speech. But it was exchanges with New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik that triggered widespread criticism.
I am asking, specifically calling for the genocide of Jews, does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The answer is yes. Calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context.
The White House weighing in after the hearing. We should all stand firmly against calls for genocide. The governor of Pennsylvania, a Democrat who is also Jewish, taking aim at Penn's president.
Leaders have a responsibility to speak and act with moral clarity, and Liz Magill failed to meet that simple test.
President Magill attempting to clarify her comments.
That a call for genocide of Jewish people is a call for some of the most terrible violence human beings can perpetrate. It's evil, plain and simple.
Harvard's president also writing, calls for genocide of any group are vile, adding they have no place at Harvard.
President Magill says Penn would immediately examine and clarify its policies regarding speech, but the school is now also facing a major financial hit. A wealthy donor threatening to withdraw a $100 million donation, calling on the school to replace President Magill. A spokesperson tells us from the school tells us that that the Board of Trustees has no plans to change the leadership. But overnight, the board of the influential Wharton School of Business called on her to resign, Joe.
All right, Stephanie, thank you so much. Appreciate it. There are new legal troubles this morning for President Biden's son. On Thursday, Hunter Biden was indicted on 9 federal tax charges, including 3 felonies. It's just the latest legal issues for Hunter Biden, who's already facing separate gun charges. All of it stems from an ongoing special counsel federal investigation. NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett has the latest.
Hey there, ever since his plea deal with prosecutors fell apart over the summer, questions have swirled about this investigation into Hunter Biden and where it might be going. His tax issues, those are, of course, well known at this point, but now new details all out in the open.
This morning, a dramatic escalation of the criminal investigation into Hunter Biden, the president's son, now accused of a criminal scheme of tax fraud. A new indictment charging Biden with failing to pay his taxes on time and instead spending millions of dollars on an extravagant lifestyle. A federal jury in Los Angeles indicting Hunter Biden on 9 counts, including 3 felonies. The 56-page indictment saying Biden earned millions in income between 2016 and 2020. But the defendant spent this money on drugs, escorts, and girlfriends, luxury hotels and rental properties, exotic cars, clothing, and other items of a personal nature. In short, everything but his taxes. Prosecutors laying out a devastating portrait of Hunter Biden creating false business deductions. In one example, prosecutors alleging that Biden wired an employee money and labeled it a golf member deposit, when according to prosecutors, it was used to purchase a membership in a sex club. These latest charges all part of the investigation led by special counsel David Weiss. Weiss's team brought federal gun charges against Biden in Delaware back in September. Hunter Biden attorney Abby Lowell said in a statement that if the president's son's last name was anything other than Biden, the charges in Delaware and now in California would not have been brought. President Joe Biden is not mentioned in this new indictment, but the allegations are sure to kick up a political firestorm. The president has held firm in his support of his son in the past.
First of all, my son's done nothing wrong.
The president now facing the possibility of his son going to trial in 2 places in the midst of his re-election bid.
As for what happens next, now that Hunter Biden has been indicted by that grand jury, he's expected to appear for his first appearance, his arraignment, in the coming days or weeks. Back to you guys.
All right, Laura, thank you so much. A judge in Texas has given permission for a 31-year-old mother to have an emergency abortion in a state that has a near total ban on the procedure. In a lawsuit by Kate Cox, she says that her fetus was diagnosed with a rare condition that usually leads to a miscarriage or stillbirth. It adds that the pregnancy could also jeopardize her ability to have more children in the future. The lawsuit is believed to be the first of its kind since Roe versus Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court last year. The judge issued the ruling in a Zoom hearing yesterday.
I am going to grant the temporary restraining order for Ms. Cox, Mr. Cox, and Dr. Carson. The idea that Ms. Cox wants desperately to be a parent, and this law might actually cause her to lose that ability is shocking and would be a genuine miscarriage of justice.
NBC News Now legal analyst Angela Senadella joins us now with more on this. Angela, good to have you with us. So is this a surprising ruling? This is kind of new territory for us right now. What's your reaction?
It is surprising and dramatic in that now this woman had to go to the court in order to get an abortion. Also note, it's not actually just her who was the plaintiff. It was also her husband, who was another plaintiff, who wanted to assist in her procuring the abortion, in addition to her OB-GYN, her doctor, who wanted to be able to perform the abortion. So 3 of these plaintiffs essentially won their lawsuit by getting this temporary restraining order. But that said, this trigger ban, this law in Texas that people believe absolutely outlawed abortion, has always had this medical exception. So the question is, how has this judge defined the medical exception, and how will other judges moving forward continue to define the medical exception?
So hours after the ruling, the Texas Attorney General said the decision did not shield doctors from prosecution. He also wrote a letter to Houston hospitals threatening legal action against any doctor who performs abortion. That includes hospitals where Cox's doctor does have admitting privileges. So can the state still take legal action against Cox's doctor even after this ruling? What happens next year?
So, Joe, that is territory that we have not ventured into yet, so we don't actually know. What we do know, though, is that when an attorney general like this makes a threat and makes it public that he is going to prosecute people who violate this, then likely there is follow through. So there will be so much scrutiny. And as a result, there is likely going to be a lot of deterrence, and doctors are going to feel less comfortable moving forward. Also, as noted, this decision is limited. It is limited only to this circumstance. And so the broader implications still remain unclear.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that. Because this is so limited, because this appears to be a first of its kind, we don't really know the broader implications. But could this open the door for more women to go into court to try and get an abortion?
Yes, it absolutely could in that route. It could totally allow women to feel empowered to go in front of judges and seek a similar court order. But as we know, that's not very realistic in terms of how it applied to the general population. Most people are not going to have the resources to be able to go in front of a judge and go through this process. In addition, each judge then would make their own opinion and their own decision. However, I will say there is another suit currently in front of the Texas courts that involves 22 plaintiffs, one including the same OB-GYN. And there we hope the Texas courts will give more clarity on what is a physical and medical exemption to this abortion ban, which would hopefully pave the way for women who needed one to save their lives.
All right, Angela Senadella, thank you so much. We appreciate your analysis this morning. Time to get a check on your morning news now. Weather, temperatures looking above average in the Midwest and East Coast, but that could change dramatically next week. Angie Lassman's here. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. You're from Minneapolis. 50 degrees in Minneapolis in December. That is, of course, not normal. These temperatures range across the Midwest and down into parts of the plains. 10, 15, even 20 degrees above normal for this time of year. So, yes, it is going to be 50 in Minneapolis today, 59 in Kansas city. Even warmer the farther south you go. I mean, Abilene is going to hit 80 degrees. So, of course, these temperatures on the warm side of things, and they're ahead of this front that we're tracking over the next couple of days. It's going to cause some issues when it comes to some rain and some strong storms. We'll get to that in a moment. But ahead of the front, it's going to continue to be really warm. That spreads a little farther to the east. Notice what's starting to happen behind it. We see temperatures dipping below normal. So Denver tomorrow, 37 degrees. Amarillo, a little closer to where you should be for this time of year. But yes, below normal. Chicago, on the other hand, for your Saturday, 50 degrees, 67 in Little Rock. Jackson hits the upper 70s. We get into the weekend and early next week, and we start to kind of see things bounce around from warmer than normal to finally cooler air working in and ending up into the 40s in Philadelphia on Monday and Tuesday. Meanwhile, on Sunday, you're going to be into the mid-60s. It'll be raining, but still, it's on the warm side of things. Pittsburgh, similar story, but you topple into the into the upper 30s by the time you get back to your next work week. Richmond goes from the 70s to the 50s. So some cooler air is coming, but in the meantime, a couple more days of some warmer than normal December temperatures. I promised you to talk about some of that rain and that snow, and this is the same system that ahead of it is warm, behind it is cool. We've got this that will start to reemerge over the Rockies through the day today and eventually bring us the chance for some stronger storms and some heavy rain and some winds. That's all going to be on the table the next couple of days. As we get through today and head into tomorrow, it really starts to get its act together. We see it intensify, and a line of thunderstorms develops along that cold front as it marches east. This will bring us the chance for some heavy rain, some strong winds, and it does stretch from Texas all the way to Tennessee. So you can see some major cities like Nashville, Little Rock, Jackson, all included in that, Houston as well, with the greatest chance to see some of those damaging wind gusts, some hail as well, and even a couple of tornadoes, not ruling those out as we get through the second half of your Saturday. So Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening, make sure you're staying up to date on that. Now, Sunday, a different story. The plains will be dry and much quieter, but the East Coast is going to be busy. It's going to be wet, and we'll even deal with some snow in some spots. We've got a good soaking rain heading for places like Washington, D.C., New York, Boston. We'll have a good amount of rain there, too, and we'll even have some strong winds. Now, this starts to exit for a lot of folks by the time Monday rolls around, but you're still going to be dealing with it if you live in New England, Maine, all the way to places like upstate New York. You'll be dealing with some snow, too, and we could see some good amount of snow, maybe 6 inches up to 8 inches. It'll be a couple of days where not only is it difficult to travel because of the rain and the wind up and down the East Coast, but add on that snow and blowing snow at that, and it's going to be difficult to travel on those roads. So something to watch from the Appalachians to New England on Monday. Big picture look of your weekend. I think out west, we're going to be mostly quiet, but notice the Pacific Northwest has another atmospheric river event that they're going to have to deal with. Washington, Oregon, Northern California, as we get into Saturday, more heavy rain on the way. That means flooding on those already saturated grounds is not going to be difficult. You can see the brisk cold that's left behind as that front works a little closer to the East Coast and brings us those unsettled conditions for Sunday. But in the south, especially southern plains, it looks pretty good. Across Texas, temperatures into the 60s. We'll have a whole lot of sunshine there. That rain and the snow sticks with us in the Pacific Northwest for Sunday. So another day of that. That's just going to be something that we'll have to deal with, Joe. I know, they don't need any more rain there. The flooding will be a concern. So it's kind of the bookend difficult weather on the East Coast on Sunday. Pacific Northwest on Sunday, it'll be a little unsettled, but the middle of the country looks great.
I should have gone home to Minnesota for that tropical 50-degree weather.
Heat wave.
There are people wearing shorts there, I guarantee you.
I'm sure we could look on social media and find exactly that.
Right. Thanks, Angie. Appreciate it. We got more to come on this Friday edition of Morning News Now, including some breaking jobs numbers out this morning. We'll run through the data and offer some insight on what it could mean for America's economy and your money. But first, more royal drama this morning. It's Prince Harry brings a major facet of Britain's government to court. We've got more on that and why he's doing that after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Georgia's Republican-controlled state legislature has given final approval for a new congressional redistricting map. The new map would dismantle a predominantly minority district and create a new court-ordered black majority district. For more on this, we're joined by NBC News senior reporter Jane Tim. Jane, good morning. So we know a little background here. A federal judge ruled in October that Georgia's current congressional map, that it was unlawful, that it had to be redrawn in order to provide fair representation of black voters in the state. Explain to us some of your reporting on this new redistricting plan. Does it attempt to do that? How does it work?
So this new redistricting map does create a new Black majority seat. But to do so, as you said, it dismantled a coalition district. So there was Black, Hispanic, and Asian voters in that district. It's Lucy McBath's district near Atlanta. And it basically, they're a majority minority district, and it dismantles that, moves all those voters around in order to essentially maintain the partisan balance. So Georgia's congressional delegation is 9 Republicans, 5 Democrats, and the state Republicans wanted to maintain that. That's why you see this sort of plan that has come out. But the court order also notably says you cannot dismantle a minority opportunity seat to remedy the Section 2 violation of the Voting Rights Act. So to defend this map, Republicans are going to have to argue that only single racial group minority districts are protected by the Voting Rights Act. And that could have really strong implications outside the state as well as here in Georgia.
So, I mean, Georgia Democrats not on board with the new map. They call it non-compliant. What are some of their biggest concerns?
Yeah, they read the court order, and that point that I just brought to you about not dismantling a minority opportunity seat again and again yesterday. They criticized it and said this is not only non-compliant, they said it's wrong, it's undemocratic. And, you know, Republicans argue sort of the opposite version where they say that, you know, you're just looking for the political win here. But at the end of the day, America's minority districts often are coalitions of districts, so are coalitions of minority voters. This is an incredibly common thing in the suburbs, in Texas, in Georgia, where you see coalitions of Hispanic and Black voters who are making up these majority minority seats. It's much more common than what you might see in, say, Alabama, where it was all Black voters who were being moved around in this district.
So is it safe to say this is going to end up facing another court challenge?
Almost certainly, Joe. I can't see a way this doesn't end up in court. If the judge agrees with Democrats that this map is non-compliant, he can order a special master to go and redraw the districts, which is what we saw in Alabama, another state that's had racial gerrymandering allegations. But this is also, it may well end up at the Supreme Court as well, because that coalition district question has not been decided by the Supreme Court yet.
Let's talk about Alabama. So legislators there refused to draw a second Black district earlier this year, despite the Supreme Court requiring them to do that. What are some of the comparisons between these two states and these political situations?
Yeah, this is one of the fault lines that was in the debate yesterday in the House, where they kept saying this. Democrats would say, the majority leader said this is not a Georgia map, this is an Alabama map. And Republicans took a lot of offense to that, saying, except for football, we don't want to be like Alabama. But what you're seeing here is that Congress is so closely divided that every seat in these gerrymandering wars matters to control of Congress. And you see people who are willing to take high-risk, high-stakes maneuver, as one source put it to me, to try and keep that majority.
All right, Jane Tim, we know you're going to continue to monitor this. Thanks for the update this morning. We appreciate it. Now to the UK, where lawyers for Prince Harry told a court that he refuses to put his wife and kids, quote, in danger by living in the country. Harry is taking the Home Office to court after the decision to scale back his security when he visits the UK. Prince Harry also said that he and his wife, Meghan Markle, felt forced to leave the country in 2020 after they stepped back from royal duties and their security detail was downgraded. Royal commentator Hillary Fordwich joins us now with more on this. So first of all, I mean, Hillary, just bring us up to speed on why Prince Harry is taking the Home Office to court and what we've seen so far in this.
Yes, pleasure to be back with you, Joe. A few things here that are of real interest. What he's saying is that this is an executive committee of the Home Office of the UK government, which is, of course, the King's government. And this executive committee had ruled that he would not have the level of security that he wants. What he wants is armed guard security when he's in the UK. Now, what he does receive is when he's on royal duties, like every other member of the royal family, he will still receive protection. But of course, he wants to return to the UK on many commercial issues. And that's where the rub comes. And the most important word in all of this is the word unreasonable. Prince Harry is claiming that it was an unreasonable ruling that others have received this kind of protection. Actually, what the court is saying is that they have not. Armed guards aren't provided and aren't allowed in London for private concerns. And obviously the concern here overall is a precedent being set. It is not a society where there are guns guns are prevalent. And so the concern is if Prince Harry is allowed to pay for his own private security who have with guns, then that presents a danger because all celebrities could demand the same. And then on the other hand, he is saying he wants that kind of armed protection. And what's very sad, of course, is when he wrote his book, the autobiography Spare, he did state in there that he had killed and claimed his win count of 25 Taliban members. And as any member of the military would know and the public would know, that obviously puts him in greater danger and risk. It's a great pity that he did that because that was self-inflicted.
Let's talk about a written statement that was read by Harry's lawyer to the court. He said, quote, "The UK is central to the heritage of my children and a place I want them to feel at home as much as where they live at the moment in the U.S. That cannot happen if it's not possible to keep them safe when they are on UK soil." Does this say anything to you about how much he plans to be involved in the UK and what he wants to get out of this hearing?
Well, obviously, anything anybody says with regards to his words is conjecture. But yes, I think an educated opinion would be that this is a yearning. You can read through this. It's very emotive in terms of wanting to be back on the UK soil. But again, there are certain things that one should do and not do if one wants to be in a place. And he has denigrated the British public. He's denigrated the press. He's denigrated his own family. And that puts him in a very difficult position. And so he's also, like I mentioned, with the death count, he has also alienated the armed forces. The armed forces submitted a letter to the former Queen requesting that his military titles be removed. So what he's doing now is he's really changing gears, saying he wants to be back. It looks like he's missing the UK, looks like he wants to be back, but all of his actions really are very sad in the lead up to this because his actions have been different than his now current words.
Of course, we know security remains important to Prince Harry in the wake of what did happen to his mother so many years ago.
Correct.
We'll see how this all plays out. All right, Hillary Fordwich, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it. More international news now. The East African country of the Seychelles is under a state of emergency after a massive explosion and deadly flooding. NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter has details on that and other headlines from around the world. Molly, good morning.
Joe, good morning to you. That's right. We are starting in the Seychelles, where the government has just declared a state of emergency, basically because of twin disasters. So flooding has killed at least 3 people, according to the government, and a massive blast at an explosive depot has injured nearly 200 people. Now, the explosion happened early Thursday morning after hours of heavy rain and flooding. What's unclear, though, is if the blast is related to the weather, but schools are now closed. People are encouraged to stay home. Now, moving up north to Scandinavia, in Denmark, the parliament has passed what's widely known as the Koran law, banning the inappropriate treatment of religious texts. It follows a series of troubling and concerning burnings of Islam's holy book and wide-scale protests. Offenders will now face a fine or up to 2 years behind bars. And finally, Joe, I think I might be too old for this. This is the first I'm hearing of this, but mega famous K-pop band BTS may be taking a break, but their management company is hoping to keep the K-pop fever burning globally. So they're making a big push right now to sign up new artists to the app Weverse and setting their sights on global artists, even from different genres. Now, they've just teamed up with Universal Music Group to live stream a 12-week audition for a brand new girl band. Stay tuned, Joe, or I'm sure we can find younger, cooler, hipper people who will be staying tuned for us.
Molly, you are never too old for K-pop. Maybe we can form like a K-pop group and get on the app and make it big.
Totally. Yeah. All for 2024.
All right, sounds good. New Year's resolution. All right, Molly, thank you so much. Coming up, a nationwide drug shortage that has many Americans wondering where exactly their next script is going to come from. And for some, access could be a matter of life or death. We're going to take a closer look at what's behind the strain next on Morning News Now. We're back now with the latest on a crisis that has been building for years, a shortage of medication. Now the problem is getting worse. It's impacting people's ability to get everything from life-saving cancer treatments to ADHD medications. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans joins us with more on that. Christine, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. You know, cold and flu season is here, and last year's shortage of those medicines is not expected this year. But there are big problems for a host of important medications, from cancer meds, amoxicillin, and ADHD and depression treatments. It has doctors and patients scrambling.
Frustrations are growing nationwide over unfilled prescriptions. Widespread drug shortages are making it harder for many Americans to find their medications.
It's getting worse.
Misty Heeman lives in Minnesota and says it's like a full-time job to track down ADHD medication for her 3 sons.
Have you found any hacks, or is this just you deal on a day-by-day basis?
Day-by-day basis. Sometimes I won't give some of my kids meds like at 3 o'clock, so I know I have them for the school day if I have to.
Heeman says she's had to switch her kids to different prescriptions based on what's available. It's a daily struggle shared on social media.
Whoever or whatever is causing this shortage, cut it out. I need my medicine.
With users posting about how they're unable to pick up prescriptions on time or forced to change their treatment schedules.
My 7-year-old does not have his ADHD medication because both of the pharmacies are out of it.
The issue ringing an alarm on Capitol Hill.
Drug shortages are a significant public health risk of the highest national priority.
This cancer doctor telling lawmakers the drug shortage could be a matter of life or death for some patients.
Many of my colleagues have been forced to make impossible choices, including to choose which patients will be prioritized to receive potentially curative therapy.
According to an American Cancer Society survey, 1 in 10 people being treated today say they've experienced drug shortage in the past year.
When we talk about a shortage of drugs for cancer treatment, that could actually be a life or death, couldn't it?
We also don't know the long-term harms because we don't have the data about switching between cancer drugs. We probably won't know what will happen until a few years from now. You know, patients may forego a chance at a cure.
The problem is widespread. 1 in 3 U.S. hospitals are severely affected by drug shortages. And by early fall, there were 305 ongoing drug shortages nationwide, the most in a decade.
Why are there shortages of life-saving drugs in this country?
The main reason for most of these shortages is a quality problem at the manufacturing facilities. It is across all drug classes, but most of these are generic drugs.
Now, the Biden administration last week announced a plan to deal with this ongoing issue, including using the Defense Production Act to ramp up production of medicines in the U.S. Part of the problem is a lot of these are generics. There's not a big margin, so there's not a lot of incentive for the manufacturers to keep a lot of this on hand.
So if people are having a hard time finding their medications, is there anything they can do?
Yeah, so we talked to parents and we talked to a lot of doctors, and what they say is, number one, don't panic. Talk to your doctor's office. This is going to be a partner for you because this is a day-to-day struggle, as we told you. Can they write a new prescription, a substitute prescription, a different medicine? Can they even have a different dosage maybe available at your pharmacy? And instead of just picking up the phone, you can try texting your doctor or use the portal. Have you seen how they're moving all the communication to the portal? I know. I can never remember the passwords. But this is what you need to do. This is the quickest way to get them is to use that portal and be talking to them constantly.
It has changed the way we communicate with our doctors.
Exactly.
So, all right. Christine Romans, thanks so much. Good
Joe.
advice. Good to see you. Oprah Winfrey is wowing us again with her dramatic new weight loss. The media mogul has always shared her weight loss struggles and successes, and now fans are wondering, how did she do it this time? NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us with more on that. Liz, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Good morning. Yeah, Oprah has always been open about her battles with weight, just as a way to inspire others and also reduce shame. Well, now the icon is generating some buzz with her chic new physique.
Oprah, can we get away?
They're the new images of Oprah, slimmed down and stunning on 2 red carpets this week.
Oprah, all of a sudden, right, looks thinner than ever.
Winfrey speaking to ET about how she lost the weight at the Color Purple premiere.
What's going on? Because if this is Weight Watchers, please sign me up tonight.
Well, it's not one thing, it's everything.
Some fans speculating she used more than just diet and exercise.
Is Oprah using Ozempic?
I'm not sure how I feel about that she didn't just come out and say, yes, I take the medication.
At her weight loss summit in September, the media mogul addressed it.
When I first started hearing about the weight loss drugs, I felt I've got to do this on my own. I've got to do this on my own because if I take the drug, that's the easy way out. I've got to do it the hard way. I've got to keep climbing the mountains. I got to keep suffering. I got to do that because otherwise I somehow cheated myself.
Winfrey says she wasn't criticizing people who use weight loss drugs.
It should be yours to own and not to be shamed about it. As a person who's been shamed for so many years, I'm just sick of it. I'm just sick of it.
But the backlash was swift.
It's counting points.
Shares in Weight Watchers, a company partially owned by Winfrey, falling 15% the next day. Winfrey clarifying her stance to the Wall Street Journal, saying, "I believe that prescription medications are an important and viable option to consider for people who struggle with weight."
This is what 67 pounds of fat looks like.
For decades, the queen of all media has openly shared her weight loss journey.
You all have watched me diet and diet and diet and diet. It's a recurring thing because my body always seems to want to go back to a certain weight.
Now, as she approaches her 70th birthday next month, the icon proving once again it's never too late to achieve your goals. And we reached out to Winfrey for comment. We have not heard back. But no matter how she lost the weight, Joe, it is fair to say she looks happier and healthier than ever.
Absolutely. Good for her. All right, Liz Kreutz, thank you so much. Coming up, we have got some breaking economic data out just this morning. That can mean only one thing. Our Brian Chung is here, along with Investopedia's Caleb Silver. They're our economic dream team. They've got the numbers. They're digging into how November's jobs report might affect your wallet. They've got cool shoes. It's all up next. We're back with some breaking economic data this morning. The U.S. economy added 199,000 jobs in November. The unemployment rate came in at 3.7%. Here to help us make sense of all these numbers, NBC's business and data correspondent Brian Chung and Investopedia's editor-in-chief Caleb Silver, our economic dream team. Good morning to both of you. So, Brian, let's start with you. Walk us through the numbers and how they compare with last month.
Yeah, well, in short, the jobs market still continues to look good. As you mentioned, 199,000 jobs added in the month of November. That's above the pace that we had seen in October of 150,000 and above what economists had expected. They expected 190,000 jobs. Also, the unemployment rate ticked down from 3.9% in the month to 3.7%. This comes ahead of some concerns leading into the report that maybe this number wouldn't be that good. There was a report from Challenger that shows job cuts over the course of 2023 and 2022, where we did see an uptick in the amount of monthly job cuts. But as you can see, still certainly not that bad compared to the job cuts we were seeing earlier in the year, specifically in the tech sector. But nonetheless, again, good to see that the unemployment rate is ticking down, especially this late into the Federal Reserve making interest rates higher.
All right, so Caleb, your reaction to this, what does it say about the economy?
Yeah, a little hotter than expected, certainly in the labor market. When you look at the sectors, and Brian will take you through the breakdown in a second, still pretty aggressive hiring across the boards, especially in leisure and hospitality, also healthcare. But the average hourly earnings are interesting, right? This is what the Fed has been trying to tamp down along with the pace of hiring. This stayed right on average, around 4% year over year. Good news, that said, there's still aggressive hiring and a lot of job openings still out there.
That's good if you were looking for a job right now, right? So, Brian, we want you to do what you always do, break it down by category. Where are we seeing the biggest gains and any losses?
Yeah, well, the government data does break it down by industry. So if we take a look at specifically this month, leisure and hospitality, healthcare, motor vehicles and parts, these were where we saw a lot of gains. In leisure and hospitality, again, think bars and restaurants, we saw 40,000 jobs in just a month alone get added. Check this out. Healthcare adding 76,800 jobs over the course of the month. That was higher than we've seen in previous months. And in motor vehicles and parts, I call this out because the UAW strike ended at the end of October, which means that it wasn't factored in the October data. But in the November data, we saw those workers come back into the factory. So we saw a 30,000 gain in the employment in that particular sector as that UAW strike did end. But again, these were all perhaps some of the reasons why the number for November looked so good.
All right, so the Fed will be meeting soon. They haven't been changing interest rates recently. How might this influence what they do or don't?
Yeah, next Wednesday, 5 days, 5 hours, and 25 minutes from now, the Fed is not going to change rates. But what everybody's been thinking, or a lot of people have been thinking, is that the Fed would start cutting rates earlier next year than expected, maybe as soon as March, maybe even May. This jobs report says the economy's still hot. The labor market is still really hot right now. Those expectations may be a little bit too soon. Stock market not loving this number.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. So we'll see. So, Brian, it's one thing to know how the job numbers are, but we also want to know about people's wages. What are we seeing there?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's great that people have jobs, but how much are they getting paid in those jobs? And, you know, Caleb was alluding to it earlier, but the job gains that we saw, at least on the wages side, 4%. That's how much more people are making in 2023 November compared to November 2022. Bit of a slower pace from the 4.1% we saw in October, but you have to keep in mind, this is higher than the rate of inflation, which is about 3% right now. And one other thing is that we have seen this number cool. If you rewind to about 2021, wage growth was somewhere around 5%. So this number is coming down, likely due to the Federal Reserve deliberately slowing this economy with higher interest rates, but not slowing enough where inflation is eroding the entirety of wage gains on the whole. So again, you look at this picture, you're saying that could be a bit of a Goldilocks number, especially as the Federal Reserve tries to land this plane.
So we've got the holidays coming up. What are we looking at in 2024? What are the things we're going to be watching out for?
Hopefully a normalization, right? The labor market's still strong, which means consumer spending should maintain its strength, relatively speaking. That's one thing we want to keep an eye on. But if we saw big layoffs and more layoffs going into the end of the year, that would not bode well for next year. Right now, the labor market seems pretty strong. Wages keep growing. This is a decent sign. Maybe we do get that soft landing that Brian and the Fed has been talking about.
So that is a possibility at this point. I feel like, how long have we been doing this? Like a year and a half now. It feels like we've been trying to sort of toe this line of not pushing into a recession, trying to control inflation. Does it seem to be working?
Yeah, the labor market tells you that we're not in a recession, but we could be in what we call a rolling recession. Different parts of the economy feeling it at different times, unlike anything we've seen before. But a strong labor market means good consumer spending. People have jobs, and there are jobs available. Pretty decent sign for the economy going into the new year.
Certainly could be worse. All right, Brian, Caleb, your shoes. Thank you all. We appreciate it. Let's get some more financial headlines now. And some of you may need to hold on to your wallets because Comcast is hiking up prices. CNBC's Silvana Henao is here with the latest on that and some other money headlines. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you, because we don't pay enough for everything already, right? So, yeah, Comcast is raising prices for Xfinity as the parent company of NBC Universal looks to offset higher programming costs. So, Xfinity provides video, broadband, and phone service, and Bloomberg has reported, on average, subscribers will see a 3% increase. The price for internet-only service will go up by $3 a month. Verizon and AT&T also raised their prices earlier this year, and Verizon raised prices on some of its wireless plans back in August. X has started rolling out Grok. That's its answer to ChatGPT to Premium Plus subscribers. So Premium Plus costs $16 a month, giving users ad-free access to the social network formerly known as Twitter. Grok was developed by xAI. That's an artificial intelligence startup owned by Elon Musk, who also owns X, and it can answer questions in conversational languages similar to ChatGPT and Google's Bard. Unlike other chatbots, though, Grok can incorporate real-time data from posts on X into its responses, allowing it to answer with up-to-the-minute information. And you may never forget where you parked your car ever again, because Google has added a safe parking toggle in Android Auto that lets you record where you park. So it pins the spot on Google Maps and adds it to your reminders. iPhones have been able to automatically save your parking spot in Apple Maps for the past several years. I know, I use that all the time.
I know, but we would have never had that great Seinfeld episode where they just wandered the parking ramp the entire episode, you know. We had that technology, so pros and cons. All right, Silvana, thanks so much. Have a good weekend. Coming up, Broadway hits the big screen this weekend with the ever-popular Waitress making its nationwide debut again. We got more on that and more. Your can't-miss list, all your content for the weekend after this. Color coordinators and pigment preachers everywhere. This one's for you. The Pantone Color Institute has announced 2024's Color of the Year. And drum roll, please, it's Peach Fuzz. Not peach, Peach Fuzz. Now, the meaning behind the choice makes it all the more beautiful. Pantone chose a color based on the need for compassion and empathy. The company's VP said in a statement, its gentle lightness and airy presence lifts us into the future. The velvety peach color is intended to set the tone for next year. It is based on trends in a wide range of global industries. I feel like, though, it should be fuzzy then, right? Which paint is not. So that's the only thing I'm struggling with. But cool color. I want to take a nap now. Finally, this hour, it's Friday, which means it's time for your can't-miss list. All the movies, shows, and songs you cannot miss this weekend. Kay Ingram is a digital reporter with NBC New York. Joins us now with what we can't miss. All right, let's start with the movies. Emma Stone has a film. It's called Poor Things.
Yep.
Kind of like a Frankenstein-ish sort of theme, or what?
You hit it on the nail, exactly. It's like if the assignment was Frankenstein meets Punk starring Emma Stone, like they nailed it. They got it perfectly. So it stars Emma Stone, and she plays Bella Baxter. And in it, you know, she's this whimsical kind of young woman who, you know, is traveling to find herself in this journey. And we see Mark Ruffalo. They get a kiss in a moment.
Ooh.
And yeah, there it is.
It was quick.
It was quick. And it's really fun. You know, watching people watch the trailer in the theaters is a lot of fun because it's a lot of big eyes, a lot of oohs and ahs. It's just so whimsical. It's fun. fun, it's bold. Emma Stone herself, she said that this was the hardest role she's ever had to prepare for. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and last night was the premiere. Anna Wintour was there, Taylor Swift was there, Laura Dern was there. So if there's any reason you can't miss this, it's because clearly the folks, the heavy hitters are there. They got to see it.
And this was the filmmaker behind like The Favorite, right, from a few years ago,
Correct.
The Lobsters. This is that whole genre of like quirky, funny,
whimsical, like it'll take you on a ride. So it's going to be really interesting to have a front row view to what her journey looks like.
I'm excited about this one. All right, so next we got Broadway coming to the big screen. It's Waitress, which is funny actually because Waitress was a movie.
Right, it
then
started
it was
as a
made
movie.
a musical. Now it's going back as a movie, but a musical movie. What can you tell us?
Yeah, don't call it a comeback, basically, right? But it is. And so, of course, we have Waitress the Musical, which was a Broadway hit, as you mentioned, but now it is in theaters today, but you should know for a limited time, only through Monday.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so you've got some time, but you maybe want to hurry up and get those tickets. But what's exciting is, of course, you have Sarah Bareilles, which you could not have Waitress without her, right? No. She's composed the music, she's written the lyrics, she's done it all. It's a great family holiday movie to watch. It's about love, it's about goals, and it's about, chosen family, which is really what I think people can get into for the holidays.
I like that. It's a great story. The music's fantastic, so check it out. And only have this weekend to do it. All right, so we have some Christmas holiday re-releases coming into theaters. Love Actually, and then...
You can see my face already.
Here comes the debate.
The hot takes.
Die Hard.
Die Hard. Popping off. Yes, Die Hard. So just like you said it, Joe, Die Hard, Love Actually, they're both coming out. They're both classics that are being re-released, like you mentioned. Of course, with Love Actually, there isn't really much debate there, despite the fact
that is definitely.
That's a holiday movie, other than maybe, do you actually love it or not? But with Die Hard, that's the big one. Group chats have fallen apart over this. I'm sure friends have fallen apart over this, so I'm curious, do you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie?
If you believe it is for you, then it's what it means to you, because it's what, in my opinion, holiday movies are just meant to bring you joy. So if you like the Hallmark stuff, if you like the whatever it is, so I don't weigh in on the debate. I can't tell you the last time I watched Die Hard, even though it's on television constantly.
Oh, you have to watch it back.
How about for you?
It's so good. I mean, Bruce Willis actually said himself that he doesn't think it's a holiday movie, but one of the screenwriters says that he does. I mean, I'm with you. I come from a family where we watch The Mummy for Thanksgiving, so I feel like I'm not in a position
Let's start that
to
debate
judge.
now. Is The Mummy a Thanksgiving movie? All right.
Exactly.
Yippee-ki-yay. All right, so Monk is making a return.
Yes, it is.
What can we know about that?
All right, so Monk is back, and this one's really exciting because fans have been so loyal to the series. It ended back in 2009, and everyone was really excited to wonder, will it come back? Will we see a movie? Will we see a spinoff? And y'all, this is it. It is streaming on Peacock right now, so you can watch it. Of course, we have Monk. He's back. He's on his final case, right? So that's the name of the movie, which is really interesting. We see old faces, new faces, and, he'll be tackling, of course, similar themes as he did in the show. I believe it was, 125 episodes? It was something crazy like that.
And Tony Shalhoub won all the Emmys for it. Every year, just won the Emmys.
Four-time winner.
All right. We got less than a minute left here. Nicki Minaj.
It's Nicki Minaj
Friday 2, little music. What should we know?
It is Nicki Minaj Friday, Joe. It is Pink Friday 2, Onika Friday. The Queen is back. She has not put out an album since 2018 with Queen. We haven't seen her, since the first Pink Friday. So now she's back with some heavy hitters. You've got Drake. You've got J. Cole. You've got Lil Wayne, right? That's kind of the three that we love to see her with. And it's her birthday, her 41st birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Nicki Minaj. And she's gifting all of her barbs some new music. So we love that.
And Pink is in this year, so it fits the theme, right?
The peach, the pink.
Exactly.
All of it.
It's not Peach Fuzz. That'll be the next album, Peach Fuzz. All right, Kay Ingram, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. News continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.